This video is made for adult collectors because model kits. Transformers 1 has a good variety of different products out there and it's great. You got like toys for kids, collectors, and all this extra stuff, and then a plethora of different types of model kits. Blokees is one of the players that's making model kits of Transformers 1 characters, and they came crashing out of the gate with so many toys for this film. It's actually kind of nuts. This video is brought to you by Blokees. They have so many awesome Transformers products on their site, and they have free shipping to the US over $99, so that's pretty cool. You can check them out linked below. Now, I do have their entire product range for Transformers 1 released thus far, but I'm allowed to say whatever I want. So we have 4 classic class figures and 9 galaxy class figures, and an entire shelf display. That thing's sick. I'm keeping that. Let's start with the galaxy versions. So the galaxy versions, which are now available at United States Walmarts. I hope they come to Canada Walmarts soon. That's awesome. But these are like buildable Action Masters. They feel like they're around the same size of an Action Master. I don't actually own any, but they are a lot of fun. Building them is super easy. The only thing that came on the sprues were the hands. Each kit comes with a generic instruction sheet to show you how the basics are done, and then some specialized things for the rest of the figures. The only thing I would say is tough is getting the joints in place, but using the limb parts as pieces to push them in makes it easier. Oh, it's regular Optimus. There's still bits in the bag. They actually make super good starter model kits. Might get my 10-year-old cousin one of these for Christmas to see if he likes model kits. But we have Wheeljack, Ironhide, Sentinel, Orion, Optimus, D16, Bee, Hound, and a Tracker. That's a lot. There's also a shiny Optimus, and I didn't get that. They all share the same basic proportions: enlarged hands, small torsos, long legs. But the thing that really gets me, combined with their little included display stands, is their posability. Like, you can articulate these things so well for being as basic as they are. I'm actually going to do the posing montage now because I want to show you some of the neat things that these can do with and without those bases. I like how vibrant most of them are. Their colors really pop and make them feel more full of life. The print quality on the tampographies though is ever so slightly low res, but that's only like if you get really close to it. From a distance, they look fine. I think my favorite here though is the Tracker Bot. It's just nice to have a representation of this thing, but all of them are great in their own rights. All right, pick on the screen now which one you want. I'm just kidding, that's not a function. I'll bump the camera. We'll do Wheeljack's posing. Their articulation is pretty much the same. There's a couple that have a few differences, and I'll talk about that. So to start with, the head is on a ball joint, quite a nice ball joint, and all of them seem to have the same amount of like head range, even though Wheeljack's is just a big bucket. Like here's Hound, and it's the same amount of head range. Here's Orion Pax. It's the same amount of head range. So they all have the same sort of head movement. Some of them have shoulders that can shift, so they can go up and down. You can do a full 360. They can go out that far. Now, some of them cannot do a full T-pose. So first of all, here's one of them that doesn't have the shifting shoulders because this entire assembly is one piece. Hound can't go out all the way. But you do have those shifting shoulders, which is nice. And a tiny bit of forward and back on that, but not too much. You do have above the elbow rotation, over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. Wrists are on ball joints, and they all come with the same set of hands. You get the 2 fists and the 2 open hands. And some of them, the cogless ones, come with these generic guns. So, yeah. Waist rotation. Waist can rotate right off, which, I mean, yeah. Then you have hips that can go forward. They can go back. They can go in and out. You have above the knee rotation, over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and the ankles can go down, up, swivel, and pivot. Now, the hips. Wheeljack's hips go pretty much all the way forward. But there are a couple, like Megatron here, for example, where they are a little bit less. It's hard to tell, but they're a little bit less than all the way forward. So some of them, they're like little crotch plate here, kind of limits the legs going forward to all the way, at least. It's not a huge issue. It is just something that I did notice.
So there are some that can do things. Why are you doing like a jig? What is this?
Now we get on to the classic class dudes, the bigger deluxe-ish size bots that take longer to build but still don't require tools. Took me like 25-ish minutes to make the Optimus here, and it was a lot of fun traditional sprues and snap together methods to make this. And these four are very nice and shiny. I'm so glad they're shiny, but also not too shiny, like they're just the right amount. Optimus and Megatron are such a treat here. I really like how this Megatron looks. That silver mixed with the gray blacks and the triple barrel fusion cannon, coupled with the nice display base and the little blast effects they put in. I do wish his cannon came with a blast effect, but He also has light up red eyes, and you can take the chest off to see the T-Cog, which also does light up red. That's awesome. Kinda wish it was purple though, because movie. But Optimus is a lot of the same story. Shiny, looks good, it poses great with the Energon axe and the see-through chest with the Matrix in it that also does light up. That looks so good. Prime's hip skirt does just like to come off though when posing him, because you move forward it pops out. I'll explain why when I get to articulation, but both of these guys have alternate hands, so their posing can look as expressive as you want. Prime also comes with a tracker gun. Elita is not my favorite.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Prime also comes with an alternate face.
The way she's built is odd because her legs are attached at an angle and then her torso is limited. Again, I'll touch more on that in the articulation, but it's just weird. And the proportions feel a tiny bit off. She does still look great though. The same light up eyes, same number of alternate hands, and she also comes with a gun. But yeah, I find myself messing with her the least out of the four. But Blokees absolutely poured their heart out on Sentinel. Good lord. This thing like blows every single one of their other figures out of the water. I love the finish on this. It's so well done and very detailed for how simple of a kit this is. I mean, there's a lot of sprues, but it's still very easy. Not to mention this one feels the most proportionally accurate. Only issue I have with it is the torso. I feel it's a tiny bit too chunky. They nailed how big the wings are supposed to be though. How all the gold matches and the bits of inner skeleton are exposed. And he's super articulated so he can be as dynamic, and he can also, you know, do this. But the even cooler thing that this does is battle mode.
He does the battle mode thing from the film, which is very cool. So to start with, we're going to remove the head and then take the chin off, replace it with the battle mask, and then plonk the head back on. Then you're going to take these pieces and plug them into here. Then you can take the fists off. Parts form into model kit. Shush. Then you take these sections and you slide them down to form his arm cannons. And once you've got that done, you want to take these pieces off here at the side of the legs. They just slide out. Then you take these guns and you attach them here. And then you take this and you put it back on. Now you can leave it like this if you want him walking around, or take the feet off. Come on. And then plug these in. And then you take this shield piece, plug it into there, and boom.
Yep, that's the clear winner of all these Blokees for me.
So all the classic class figures are different when it comes to their articulation, because unlike the regular little ones that we looked at, they don't share anything. Everything, whoa, for better or for worse, everything is unique. So we'll start with the one that I don't like the most. We'll start with Elita. She got a ball joint at the head, right? So you can get some okay tilt, up and down, rotation. Double ball jointed shoulders, so not only can they butterfly forward and back, but they can go out that far and rotate. You do have above the elbow rotation, 90 degrees of elbow bend. Wrists are on ball joints. You do have a waist joint. Now this is where my problems start. The waist joint only goes that far. It does not want to go any further than that because of these hip skirts. And the hips are on like a downward angle. Think Age of Extinction Voyager Galvatron style hips. So they rotate at an angle, which means you then have to rotate the thigh swivel, and then the thigh looks weird in poses, and if you go straight forward, it just comes right off. I'm not a fan of the hip design. I don't like it on this figure at all. But you do have that upper, like above the knee rotation. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knee. The ankles can go down a little bit. They can go up. Oops, you can pull it off. You get a tiny little bit of ankle tilt and a lot of foot swivels. She's probably the least posable of the bunch, which is kind of funny because she's the most acrobatic out of all of them, but Then we get on to Megatron. Megatron here is quite nice, except for his head. So the bucket of his head bumps into his shoulder crest, so you can tilt side to side, but it does sort of like bump in and you can feel it. And then rotation, it really only goes that far until it starts looking up because it has to get over this shoulder piece. But you do get some nice tilt and all that sort of stuff. Shoulders, they are on a really nice ball joint because it rotates inside the torso like in the movie. So you've got some really nice range of forward and back and up and down. And then the shoulder pad can move to allow for the shoulder to go all the way out. So that's very nice. You do have a bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bend, wrists are on a ball joint. He does have a waist joint that is not hindered. And then, unlike a couple other Megatron figures we've looked at, these are on ball joints, which means the hips, when they go forward, they can actually go forward and push these out of the way. And they can go back that far, they can go in and out. You have an above the knee rotation, over 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And then you have ankle tilt, and then you can move the pieces of armor up to get the feet to fold forward, although it does leave this big gap, and they don't really go back. So he's a lot more posable than Alita and a lot more fun to mess with. I love these shoulders. The shoulders are my favorite part about this toy. I knocked Alita over again, god damn it. Then we come to Optimus, and Optimus does some other hip things I'm not a fan of, but head, very, very nice and expressive. Like, you can get so much out of that. I love it. Shoulders are just like Megatron's. They're built the same way. Shoulder pads can move out of the way to accommodate the arms to do a full T-pose, and I kind of like how that looks because they pop out this way, not from here. So that looks kind of neat. I like that. You do have a bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bend, wrists are on ball joints, a waist joint. Now the hip skirts. The hip skirts are on clips, and they only go out like that far. So the hips can go forward only that far. They can go back. They can go in and out. But I just don't... I wish these were on ball joints as well. I don't know why they're on clips. They only go out that far. It's kind of annoying. You do have a below or above the knee rotation. 90 degrees of bend at the knee. The ankles can go down, up, and you have some pretty nice ankle tilt and rotation. So, yes, he's very good. Light your matrix up. There we go. I love that. That's so cool. Now we get on to my favorite one. Optimus Prime fell over too. Sentinel Prime. This is awesome. So the head, I had put the wrong ball joint in here, so the head was like not movable at all. But now with the right one, there's so much range. Look up so far, so you can get him into like flying poses. I love that. The wings here are on a ball joint as well, so they can move up, rotate, they can fan in and out. So you can do the flying stuff that he would have done in the film. The shoulders are on ball joints. They can go out about that far by themselves. And then you have another joint in here that allows the arm to move all the way out. So that's really cool. You have an above the elbow rotation. You have less than 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. I don't like that. That's my only gripe with this thing. Wrists are on ball joints. He does have... Oh, I knocked his wing off. He does have a waist joint. Hips can go forward all the way. They can go back all the way. They can go in and out all the way. You have above the knee rotation, 90-degree knee bend. And the ankles can go down, up, rotate, and you have a really nice tilt. I think that's probably the nicest tilt out of all of them. So Sentinel, other than his elbows, is very fun to pose. I just wish his elbows could bend a little bit deeper, but I love how expressive you can get both the head and the wings. And he's very well balanced for his feet being so thin, which is nice. I like this.
Even my reservations about Alita, I still pretty much like all of these. These are also great for people who want to get started in model kit making because they're so easy to both attain and build. I definitely recommend at least one or two to start you off, or get the whole box. You're guaranteed to get one of each if you grab the entire box. But that's my look at all of Blokees Transformers 1 products so far. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.